By Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years. Matson celebrating the 75th liberation with the people of Guam. Biba Guam. Cars Plus, reminding you to put your phone down while driving. Distractions won't get you there. Heads Up Guam. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And steaks, ribs, seafood, and our famous fresh garden bar, Ruby Tuesday. Good times you can taste.
Coming up on Prime Time, a bill to authorize war claims payments for Guam is set to go up for a vote. Plus, the Guam EPA is investigating a pair of incidents involving firefighting foam at the airport. Also tonight, are you interested in pursuing a career in law enforcement? Adriana Quintero has details to an upcoming job fair.
Hafaden, good evening. A bill to authorize Guam war claims payments is set for a vote in the House of Representatives early Thursday morning Guam time. The legislation by Congressman Michael San Nicolas corrects a technical flaw that will allow the Treasury Department to release money that's already been set aside. A law by former Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo did not contain specific language authorizing the payments. Meanwhile, a separate bill by Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes that would pay out war claims locally has been referred to committee, and a public hearing is scheduled for August 2nd. The Speaker and the Governor have been working on multiple tracks to expedite payments, saying while they support the Congressman's efforts, they're looking for the fastest way to pay more than 600 elderly war survivors who they say, quote, we are losing every day. Airport firefighters under fire as Guam EPA is now conducting two separate investigations stemming from pictures and videos showing questionable handling of chemicals. Chris Barnett has more.
A source familiar with aircraft rescue and firefighting operations tells KUAM News that ARF isn't coming clean about what it was dumping down a storm drain in pictures that have surfaced of a training exercise at the airport. While airport firefighters told Guam EPA investigators the drums contained firefighting foam residue, our source says it wasn't residue. It was the real deal, firefighting foam that contains PFAS, the unregulated forever chemical that is now the subject of a major lawsuit Gov Guam is trying to join. And the scary part is, our source says foam containing PFAS has been dumped down airport drains for years.
We can't outright say that this has been happening for years, as indicated by your anonymous source, but we are working with the airport to get a better understanding of how these events led up to a release into the storm drains.
The source providing details into GIPA's investigation. Details Lee confirms. As part of the agency's probe, ARF personnel were all interviewed in a room together. And while some firefighters wanted to speak up, they didn't, fearing retaliation.
The reason for that is we wanted everybody, including management, to be present in the room.
Lee is calling on anyone with information that could help the investigation move forward, including firefighters who have already told GIPA there was nothing fishy about the foam disposal.
Everyone in that room has an opportunity to come forward if there is information that they feel is necessary for the investigation. It's highly encouraged.
GIPA conducted a site visit to the airport on July 10th, even asking the crew to reenact the training exercise. The agency has also requested documents and information dating back to 2016. That's when current Guam Fire Department Chief Dan Stone was running ARF. Meanwhile, the second investigation is being conducted into ARF after Guam EPA received videos through an anonymous email showing firefighters spraying what Lee said is a dry chemical used for extinguishing fires. We asked Lee why airport firefighters would spray firefighting chemicals when nothing is on fire.
Until we conduct an investigation into the decision points that led to releasing that product into the jungle, we're not going to be able to tell what the reason was for that.
We reached out to the airport for comment. However, GIAA Executive Manager Tom Atta is off island and Marketing Director Elfrey Koshiba could not provide a comment as of news time. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
Meanwhile, lawmakers will get an update tomorrow on water wells contaminated by PFAS. Senator Sabina Perez has asked agencies, including GWA and the Attorney General, to brief her committee on mitigation efforts and legal action related to the contamination. GWA General Manager Miguel Bordallo says a pair of wells in Agana remain shut down for exceeding EPA-established safe levels.
In our approach, we've taken the wells that contain the contaminant out of service until we're able to get a treatment system in place. We're still meeting the EPA health advisory levels, and so I think we're not doing anything differently.
Bordallo says the treatment system is expected to cost about $700,000 to $1 million. It will be put out to bid once the design is completed.
There's been all kinds of speculation about what the sources might be, and I don't think anybody knows. From our perspective, the water's safe. We've taken those wells offline, but it would help us to find the source and get it out of the ground. We believe it's contaminated soil.
UOG's Water Environmental Research Institute, or WERI, has proposed a study on the contamination source, which Bordallo says GWA would support. More trash talk about illegal dumping on the way. After mounting media coverage of unsightly garbage, the legislature's environment chair is bringing stakeholders together to discuss ways to curb it. Again, here's Chris Barnett.
Senator Sabina Perez calling a roundtable hearing on illegal dumping. It's set for 3 p.m. on August 7th. And while Senator Perez did say some people simply can't afford solid waste service, she added a culture of degradation has led to the outbreak and illegal dumping on Guam. We asked the senator who's to blame for the problem.
We're all a part of the problem. We need to work together. We are consumers. We create trash, and it's our responsibility to manage it properly.
Illegal dumping on the hot seat after a series of KUAM News reports detailing dump sites from Jigo to Dedido, even the heart of our tourism district struck by the dumping disease. Mountains of trash hiding around this abandoned parking structure. We've also reported on questionable dumping at the abandoned Verona Hotel. Guam EPA spokesman Nick Lee.
So our solid waste management program did conduct site inspections at the Verona and at the parking structure. Those are being investigated right now.
Village mayors have told KUAM News they don't have the money or manpower to dive into dumps in their villages. But Senator Perez says mayors do have the cash to take on the trash.
The mayors do get some money from the revolving recycling fund. My understanding is that they did receive some funding. So I'm not exactly sure how that's being used.
But Mayor's Council Executive Director Angel Sablan tells KUAM News the recycling funds given to mayors, including $2.3 million since fiscal year 2018, have specific uses cited in the law, since those funds are provided from Guam EPA.
Municipal solid waste, household solid waste is not part of that. It is not part of the agreement.
Most of the dump sites we've seen have a grab bag of garbage from abandoned cars, appliances, furniture, tires, and yes, household trash, and lots of it. But unfortunately, mayors can't use recycling funds to pick up anything that's not a recyclable. Sablan said if Senator Perez wants to enable mayors to use those funds to clean everything at dump sites, she should amend the law that governs the use of the revolving recycling fund. Senator Perez said she plans to call together solid waste stakeholders for the roundtable discussion, but we asked her what would her message be to those who want to see action taken on illegal dumping, not more trash talk.
I'm going to work hard to try to, help find a solution, and especially, with the, we just expanding our landfill. I think we need to find solutions in general as far as working towards zero waste.
For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
Acosta is seeking a plea agreement on separate drug charges he faces. Acosta is already in custody after confessing that he killed 15-year-old Tamika Nauta during a burglary at her home last year. In court today, Judge Anita Sacola made clear the hearing was only for the drug case and that she's not assigned to the murder and rape case. Last week, Acosta pled not guilty to the new rape charges. Tomorrow morning, he will be back in court for a criminal trial setting before Judge Verdun Perez. He is scheduled to be back in Judge Sacola's courtroom on August 6th. 3 more complaints have been filed in federal court alleging child sexual abuse by members of the Catholic clergy. 2 complaints filed by IV and BA to protect their privacy allege abuse by Father Louis Briard. IV alleges he was sexually abused when he was a minor, while Briard was a priest and Boy Scout scoutmaster at the Barragata Parish, while B.A. alleges he was molested by Briard when he was a priest at the Dededo Parish. The third complaint was filed by M.M.M. He alleges when he was an altar boy at the San Miguel Church in Talofofo, he was sexually molested by Father Amard McKinnon. Guam's top law enforcement and public safety officials held a press conference today to address a long-standing issue that's been impacting operations, a chronic shortage in personnel. KUAM's Adriana Cotero tells us more.
It's a combination to meet the needs of the community with the increase in crimes and also getting staff levels back to where they need to be. Guam Police Department Chief Steve Ignacio and fellow local law enforcement agencies are hosting the first public safety job fair this weekend. The Police Department, Customs and Quarantine, and Department of Corrections are all facing their own unique challenges that are resulting in personnel shortfalls.
Currently, we have a little over 275 officers, and ideally we should be at least 400, if not 520 is our last count.
Initially, GPD planned to have 30 new hires. However, that is no longer the case.
We're only able to fill 25 positions because some people actually turned us down. Some people came in and resigned. This was not a job for them. And then, a couple others accepted jobs somewhere else, or they didn't make it through the background investigation, the psych eval, and the polygraph. So we had to weed them out.
GPD has 6 openings for this current fiscal year, and they are targeting for 40 new officers for the next police cycle. As for Customs, Director Ike Pareto says they have 27 recruits undergoing the academy and are looking for an additional 30 officers for fiscal year 2020. The biggest challenge this agency faces is having to compete with federal positions.
Once they complete all the trainings, they spend at least a minimum of 5 years with the agency, they look forward to transferring to the federal side of the house, which is the U.S. Immigration and Customs Border Patrol. And that's my challenge right now, because for me to retain those officers, I have to be more competitive with the pay.
A total of 34 customs officers have transferred in the last 10 years to the federal side. This is resulting in less manpower, especially at the airport.
I need a total of 127 officers to effectively manage the border. To date, I have a minimum of 60 officers.
As for the seaport, there are 9 officers assigned. Pareto says the maximum amount they are looking to reach is 23 hires. Customs is a self-sustaining agency with funding from their own fees. Director Pareto says they have $1.2 million from the general fund to subsidize the 27 recruits in the academy right now. And in order to increase manpower, then current fees being charged may also be increased. Department of Corrections Director Samantha Brennan says working within their budget, she is hoping to recruit 30 individuals, as they have also had some resignations and transfers to other GovGuam agencies. For all those interested in joining Guam's law enforcement, the job fair will be on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Outrigger Resort. DOA will be in attendance accepting on-site applications. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Adriana Cotero.
Stick around for more news here on Primetime. You're watching KUAM.
There are more ways to experience Guam via KUAM News, giving you what you want, when you want, and how you want it. From smart devices, Alexa, what's in the news?
Here's your flash briefing.
Over the web, on mobile, on streaming platforms, with immersive, interactive formats, and via social media where it's more than just content, it's conversation. More ways to keep you informed and entertained whenever you want it, wherever you are, on whatever device you're using.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
Half a day, welcome to Two Lovers Point.
Half a day, I'm in the club.
The next generation Galaxy has arrived. See it and believe it. The Infinity O display is the most innovative Galaxy screen yet. Capture the wider world. Take stunning photos with a 123-degree field of vision. Use your phone to charge other wireless charging devices. Don't just stand out, stand apart.
Matson is in this community. We've been in this community for decades. We're going to be in this community for decades to come. Things will get busy, things will get quiet, but we're going to be here. We're your hometown carrier. And that matters to us.
Reliability is the core of our business. We take pride in ensuring that we arrive in Guam on time as scheduled.
It's our local employees who understand the market, who understand the business, and provide that hard work for you each and every day.
When we hold ourselves to high standards, our customers also hold us to high standards. We establish good business relationships that turn into friendships. That's why it's so important to be here and be trusted by your customers. We want you to trust Matson like your friend, like your family.
Turn up summer with Minute Maid slushies, only at McDonald's. Enjoy 3 refreshingly chill flavors, new sweet peach, blue raspberry, and fruit punch, while summer lasts.
Welcome back. Moving testimony this morning from survivors of sexual assault. Tomas Manglona reports on several different bills that serve to advocate for the protection of victims and strengthen regulations against the offenders.
4 pieces of legislation striking a chord with the community this morning. First on the docket, Senator Amanda Shelton's proposed Bill 157. It would require convicted sex offenders under appeal to register on the Sex Offender Registry. Survivor and advocate Rose Hermoso is a strong supporter of the bill. She recalls her case nearly 10 years ago when she joined other women speaking of the assault by a convicted UOG professor who was not on the registry because of appeals.
And because of this loophole, I'm pleading, I'm begging. Really stop victimizing other women, other people in this island.
Meanwhile, Bill 172 would also ensure pre-sentence report and assessments use by Guam Parole Board prior to the release of any offender on parole. DOC social worker Mark Perez says agencies are behind its purpose.
They are in support of this bill because it gives us access to more information. We do have an assessment system that we are currently launching, and it does require us to know some information about the offender prior to getting them.
Other speakers asked for more clarification on the exceptions of information that would violate privacy. Terlahi's Bill 171 would limit magistrate judges from handling cases involving felony charges, criminal sexual conduct, and repeat offenders. She says that these cases ought to be held by judges who are subject to retention election, allowing for more accountability. Senator Moreland's Bill 175 limits loitering in certain areas for sex offenders. It would allow for individuals in public sites to request the offender to leave or be charged.
Registered sex offenders going to or attending school sport practices for no other purpose than to be around potential victims.
Commentators like Guam Family Justice Center President Karina Farang expressed support for the intent, but requested more clarity in the details of its implementation, especially for offenders with their own children who occupy the areas.
Making it mandatory for all government agencies, all schools, pretty much a community effort that implements a task force or a task, something that has to do with, hey, these are the new laws and these are the certain criteria that we're going to move forward with. So for every bill that you enact, there should be a plan of action on the back end to enforce that.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tomas Manglona.
Nearly $33 million in Medicaid payments have been made to local health care providers and vendors. The governor's office says the money came from a temporary increase in Guam's federal medical assistance percentage to 100%. That means GovGuam did not have to put up the typical 45% or nearly $15 million in matching funds. The provision was part of a separate disaster aid bill signed into law last month. The funding is from remaining Affordable Care Act funds, which expire in September. The governor says while it's a welcome reprieve, she's been lobbying for a permanent increase in Medicaid reimbursement through a formula comparable to the mainland. Currently, we're capped at just $18 million a year and must still come up with a local match. A Marine Corps request for a no-fly zone over the planned firing range at Northwest Field has been denied by the FAA. News release Senator Clint Rigel said during a request for comment earlier this year, he questioned the need to